I can't believe we're almost halfway through the year. So much has happened since January, and June to me is the perfect time to do a mid-year reset and to sit down and realign yourself with your business. It's so important to find alignment with your life and business so you can stay on track with your goals, prevent getting burned out, and just have fun and live your life. So today I'm going to go through exactly how I do my mid-year reset and reflect on the last few months and plan the next month and quarter, and how it has allowed me to generate 6 figures in income for my solopreneur business consistently in the last 4 years. I love doing the mid-year reset because it's the perfect way to set yourself up for the rest of the year. There's still so much time left, and by now you've also found more clarity with your life and your business and the direction that you want to go in. So come along with me and let's get planning. Today is actually May 31st, which means it's the end of May and the start of a new month and a new season in my business. I feel like I finally got everything organized and put in place, and I'm just so excited to go into a new month with all of these things and systems ready to go. If you're new here, I'm Shireen, and I have a handmade business called Sweeney Made Wild where I sell knit beanies, patterns, stickers, adventure goods, and I share a lot about my outdoorsy lifestyle. I also do some brand partnerships with outdoors brands, and I am starting this year hosting group trips for women who are artists, makers, creatives, and have a small business and just want to connect and build more community and explore the world together. So I am so excited about that and this next chapter in my business. Since a lot of my business is seasonal items, I always use the months of April and May to plan for the next season ahead. So this is kind of like my start of the year a lot of the time, and I'm really proud of what I was able to plan and accomplish and organize this past couple months. I know technically Q2 is the end of June, but for me, the start of June feels like a new quarter and a new chapter, so that's kind of how I'm gonna work it in my business. But I plan everything in Notion, and so I thought today I would just bring you along on how I do my monthly review, how I'm gonna plan for the next month and next quarter, and show you how I do all of that. And I also created a template if you want to download it and try it for yourself. So let's hop into my Notion dashboard and go to my plans and goals. I feel like in the years where I actually don't take a ton of time out to plan and to do all of this organization, what ends up happening is I feel really stressed for the rest of the season, or like I'm constantly behind and like I'm working and working and working, but it feels like I'm not making progress or moving my goals forward. So by actually taking the time to zoom out and look at the big picture and put the time into plan, it is so important. And I feel like ultimately it's how we move our businesses forward, how we prevent burnout, and ultimately have a sustainable business that also feeds the lifestyle that we want to live. And I know in the entrepreneur world, it's a lot about hitting all these success milestones and more, work harder, make more money, blah, 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 blah. But for me, my goal with my business is to have the time and the freedom that I want to do these outdoor activities or to build community and actually hang out and experience things with my community. So this year, one of the things that I'm actually most excited about that I've been implementing in my plans and goals is to actually have this clarity journal. And so every day or every week, I'll go in here and I'll just put things in here that felt like they really lit me up and that I felt really aligned with. And in the same way, I'm also putting the things that felt like I had resistance to or that I really was dragging my feet on. And I think by doing this, you're kind of checking in with yourself constantly and seeing what things are lighting you up, what things you might want to shed, and ultimately what your priorities are for this month, season, quarter, whatever time frame you want to choose. But it really helps with achieving the goals that you set for yourself, no matter what they are. So this year, my priority is community, and it has been something that has been lighting me up so much. I actually was at a collaboration event last night. I'm part of the Steamboat Rugby Club, and we do a collaboration beer with our local Pride nonprofit. And we just did a release party, and the conversations that we were having and the people we were getting to meet and talk to, it was just incredible. And I don't know, I feel like for me, and I actually wrote this down last night, deep conversations with new friends. It's like when you meet people who are aligned with your values and who understand what you're going through or through the same things, whether it's because you have a small business too, or you have a similar craft, or you enjoy hiking and nature and stuff like that. it just lends to this depth of conversation and connection that is instant. And I don't know, that kind of stuff is just so cool to me, how you can just meet somebody for the first time and then connect with them. So like I mentioned earlier, I'm hosting group trips for the first time this year, and the trip to Iceland, I feel like, is going to be exactly this, where all of these women are going to get together and we're all either creatives, makers, outdoorsy gals, small business owners, and it'll be a chance to just really adventure together, but also connect on this deeper level. So I'm so excited about it. But anyway, back to my planning. So here is my overall year plans and goals. So I have the word of the year, I have my clarity journal, I have my quarterly goals, and we'll go in there in 1 minute. And then I have my top 5 personal goals and biz goals. And then the end of the year review. So obviously we haven't gotten to the end of the year yet, but I will do that. But going into Q2, the quarters I kind of separated into the same way, where this quarter I have my monthly goals, my top priorities. So you can see here, organized tasks, content plans, streamline workflows. And these are all things that, like I mentioned earlier, will just help you achieve those goals and not feel like you're behind, feel like you actually have a plan, and know what steps you need to take to get there. And then I have the end of quarter review, which I think I still will wait till the end of June to do. But for now, I'm going to go into May and take a look at if we got all of our stuff done. So in May, my main priority was to organize. So that was organize all of my projects and tasks in Notion. And believe it or not, it took several weeks to do. Create a YouTube strategy and plan. One of my actual big 5 business goals this year is to get monetized on YouTube. I don't know if that's realistic right now, but I think by actually creating a strategy, it'll help me create the videos that I feel like will be valuable to you and that I also like to create and that also align with my business and can share more authentically like who I am and, you know, connect. Iceland for me right now is one of my biggest priorities. It is just something that I feel is so important and that as a solopreneur, we're just missing a lot of right now. I'm also in the process of creating an online Discord community. So that's a little bit of a secret project that I haven't shared a lot about, but it should be live pretty soon. So I'll share that with you when it is. But I like breaking down a month into main priorities because it helps you kind of streamline all of your content, all of your tasks that you're going to be doing, and it will make you feel less overwhelmed with all of the different things that you could do, because when you have a small business, you could be doing so many different things. But this really helps bring in that focus a little bit for each month. And even for me, week to week, I like to have almost like a theme of the week, and that really helps with content and with the tasks at hand because, you know, I knit beanies and that's something that I'm constantly doing. I know that I need to be doing that. But as far as marketing and sharing the work, growing an audience, that kind of stuff, that all has to do with making content. And if you sell a product or a service, that is how people will find you. Going down into my month in review, I decided to make it fun for myself because I feel like when you make things fun, especially when you're organizing and doing things on the computer, you actually want to do them. So I broke it down into summits, strides, shedding, and seeking. In summits, it's really what did you enjoy most this month? What felt really aligned? So it's kind of like the clarity journal, but a way to sit down at the end of the month and zoom out a little bit and reflect on what you did that month. And then in strides, it's what small wins did I achieve this month? I feel like it's so important to celebrate those small wins because there are so many things that we do in our small business. And I think a lot of the time when you work at a company or, you know, with other people, you are getting that validation, and not saying that you need that validation, but it feels good. And I know for me, I get really motivated when I feel like I'm accomplishing things and achieving things. So celebrate those wins. And then what progress did I make towards my big picture goals? And that's why I love Notion so much. There's a way to break down the projects and the tasks, and I think I showed it to you in the last video, but basically it actually has a project tracker on it as well. So as you tick off the tasks for those projects, it'll show a progress bar. In shedding, it is what could I have done better this month and what are the things that I need to let go of. Like I mentioned above with the priorities, I think a lot of the time we can be doing so many different things. And so for shedding, it's like maybe there's a task that I just do all the time that actually isn't aligned this month, or that isn't actually moving my goals forward this year, or that I don't need to be doing, or that I can be doing less of. So this is just another way to reflect on that, because we only have limited time. And especially as a solopreneur, or even if you have a couple of staff members, time is precious, and how we use our time is really precious. And I think we need to constantly check in with ourselves of how we're using our time. And, I'm not saying there is wasted time, because not working, going out in nature, hanging out with friends, doing fun things, that is not wasted time at all. But it's more saying, if you're feeling like you're wasting time, what are some of the things that you're doing that might make you feel that way? So now we have seeking, and that is, what do I wish was possible to make this month more aligned? What are new things that I want to explore this month? And I think this is just a really cool way to constantly be checking in with the goals you've even set. And the mid-year reset is a really great way to do that, because going into June, second half of the year, it's kind of like, okay, half of the year is gone already, but there is still a lot of year left. So I know for me, as I go through my year, things change. Like maybe something comes up and I'm like, whoa, what I thought I wanted to get done this year, I actually really want to focus on this instead. Or, oh man, I didn't even think this is something I wanted to be doing, but right now it's really lighting me up and I want to put more energy towards this. So the mid-year reset is okay. It is okay to change your mind and your goals. So by zooming out and actually reflecting on that, we can actually make sure that happens. Wow, so that was actually really helpful. I feel like I already knew a lot of this stuff. It's what I was talking about earlier, but some of the things I wanted to shed, it's really simple and basic, but by putting it down on paper, it's kind of like recognizing and realizing, wow, I really do need to work on that. Other thing that I need to shed is getting overwhelmed about stuff that's my own doing. I was watching another vlog from a solopreneur, and she was talking about the cozypreneur life, and she was talking about how we basically put so much pressure on ourselves a lot of the time, and nothing is actually an emergency in the business, like all of these things are our own making, and our own timelines and our own deadlines for ourselves, which of course I think is really necessary to put constraints for yourself. But sometimes I know for myself, I definitely do this where I put way too much and think I can accomplish way too many things at one time, and then if I don't, I feel like I failed. So let's work on making them more achievable, or at least allotting more time to do it, and to just be okay if you didn't get all of that done, or to let go of that feeling of guilt or laziness or whatever, because it is all okay. We just need to embrace it. And I think sometimes by making ourselves feel overwhelmed like that, we become paralyzed and then don't do anything anyway. So that means you're not doing anything and you're feeling bad. All right, so now that we've taken a second to do all of our reflections for May, I want to go in and start planning for June. So I'm actually looking at these worksheets that I did earlier in April, and it's my year of intention. And I kind of took this time to put myself into alignment with the seasons, with how I want to feel about my business, and what realistically I would need to be doing every month to make that happen. So back when I did this in April, I put that my intention for June would be to focus and basically implement all of these things that I have been putting into place, and actually creating the routine for myself to operate in this new way. I think we do get stuck in our ruts and then fall back on this comfort of how we've been doing things, but it is important to change it up if you need to, and I made the plans to change it. So let's implement that and actually get our routine going. And especially right now when the business is slow, if you can implement those routines and systems, when your business picks up and things get really busy, like I know for myself, my busiest seasons are crazy and there's not really time to think of everything else. Once I've had those habits though, I will be doing them. And I think it'll feel like it's just running more smoothly, and that I know that the direction I'm going in is the right one that I've set for myself. So I know some of the stuff is not necessarily business related, like enjoy the month of June. Here where I live in the mountains, summer is fleeting. And so there's just so much happening in these months and they're so short. And so it's just a reminder for myself that it's okay to just play and enjoy and do things with friends and, go on hikes and stuff like that, which I do anyway, but it's kind of like, it's okay. Writing it down, it's kind of like that reminder. That's what these months are for. And this is part of the plan. So now I'm going back into my dashboard and into my big picture projects and tasks. And this is what I was talking about earlier, where I have all of my major projects mapped out, and this has all of the progress bars. So they all have different time frames, but this is just a way to track. And then if you go into each project, let me show you. Like for this one, my Notion project, these were the main tasks that I had, and they're all done. So that means that project is done. And it's just a really nice way to keep track of that stuff and to make sure you're reaching those goals in an achievable way. But I'm going to go down here and change this month to June, just so we can take a look. I didn't finish everything here yet, but change it to month. Let's change it to June. And these are kind of the main tasks I set for myself. I have a lot of other things going on this month. If you didn't know, I also have a small side hustle business that I run in the summer. I do farm to table private chefing, and my whole career actually before starting my business was as a chef in restaurants. And so it's been a hard thing to let go of. It's part of my identity. But I do have a few catering things this month. And they're very small. I keep them small on purpose, and actually going into next year, I'm thinking of actually taking a pause from the chefing period, because I feel like with Smini, I actually need more time these days to do all the things that I want to do to move the business in the direction that I want to go in, i.e. more group trips, more resources, a bigger creative community that I'm actually able to moderate and talk to and create resources for. And so I can't really do that if I don't give myself the time to do it, because during the busy season when I'm selling a lot of stuff, I have less time to work on that kind of back end work. But that is a huge change that I need to make soon. But this year, obviously, I already have bookings, so I can't not do that. So these are just the realistic tasks that I set for myself to accomplish this month, knowing that I have a couple of small trips, a couple of chef gigs, and just a lot of summer activities as well. So the coolest part about Notion is that you can organize your dashboard however you want. And so I will show you my main dashboard again, and scrolling down, this is a weekly map of the content that I plan to post this week, and it'll just populate this week's right here. And same with the tasks that I showed you, it's just what's due this week, and then I'll put them into my actual like daily to-do list. And obviously these are like the big project tasks, it's not my day-to-day like other tasks, but it just helps me see that big picture and move those bigger projects forward. And then I have all of the projects shown here as well, just so I can have a quick glance. And then this is like the monthly view of all of the tasks in a different calendar view. And it's just nice that you can do the different views, because sometimes you want to actually see it as a calendar and not as a list. So like I mentioned, there's not as many tasks that I set for myself in the month of June, but that is basically because I know that I have a lot of other things going on this month. So I want to make sure that I don't feel overwhelmed by all the tasks that I have to do for Smini and my other stuff. But that's just going to make sure that I can actually accomplish the things that I set out for myself, and that I know will actually move everything forward. And this does not include like my day-to-day making content, creating videos, Instagram, marketing emails, and that kind of stuff. So these are just all big picture things. But I think by having things in the big picture, these are the things that are going to move everything forward, and you won't forget about them. Like, they're not just floating around in the back of your mind anymore. They're actually on here, planned out, and you have a timeline for it. Okay, so next it is planning the content, or at least having a big overarching look at the content that I want to do this month. And I already did some of it last month, but here is my content hub. This is the master content calendar. So obviously we're at the end of the month, and this is all the content that I shared this month. I'm gonna go to June. And I already started mapping some stuff out. I already know for YouTube, like I want to do my vlogs. I want to do a couple more educational videos, so I have those mapped out. Instagram, I'm not mapping out that far in advance, but I do have a couple of weeks kind of set. And if I go down further, this is my Instagram idea. So I have like the brain dump section, which I don't have anything in right now because I kind of did like a mass cleanse of it. But these are like quick brain dumps. If I get an idea for a reel or a post, I'll just put it in here. But these are the current ideas that I have fleshed out. And so, for example, this post for next week, what I'm most excited about for Iceland, you know, I have a real idea, like a basic concept, and then here's a spot for like a caption idea. And I talk more about how I use the content map in my last video, so definitely go check that out. But you can see all these different labels, and it just keeps me on track and not posting too much of the same thing, keeping up variety, and then also making sure I'm not neglecting certain pillars that I want to make sure I share about as well. So I'm pretty happy with what June looks like so far. I feel like I have a good idea of what I want to do video-wise and then what I want to do Instagram-wise. And I think it's just helpful to just have this big picture look at it, and going in and doing this at the end of every month for the next month, even if you don't have the entire month fleshed out, I think is super helpful. Because I know for me before I was like, oh, I just want to post when I feel like posting and when I have good ideas. But in reality, that is what was stopping me too, because I would just get overwhelmed or feel like I was spending so much time. But by actually taking a couple hours to at least map out some ideas and flesh things out, whether or not it actually happens in this way, I actually have a nice idea of things, and then it actually leads to taking the photos and videos that I think I'll need to for those posts. For example, next week I'm going on a river trip, so when I'm on that trip, I don't need to be shooting video and photos of everything, but if I have an idea of the content that I want to make out of it, I can just get those shots, and then for the rest of the trip, I'm just enjoying the trip with my friends instead of worrying about capturing all of the stuff that I think I might need. So that's just my way of also being able to stay present in my day-to-day life that's not the business. Like, obviously, I share a lot in my vlogs, I share a lot in my stories and Instagram, but there's so much of my life that I'm not documenting and not sharing at all. So I think it's just another reminder of being intentional and being present in your actual real life as well, but also sharing things that are important to you and that make sense to share for your business. If you are interested, I have actually created a couple of templates for you to use. These will actually be available in my Discord community, so join the community. I'll put a link below. This is all new, but I'm hoping as the community grows, I'll be able to add more and more resources like this that you can utilize, and then we can have a place to chat and connect with other creative small business owners and makers and people that ultimately want to live a more aligned and creative life. So that is my mid-year planning. I know I already did a lot of that in my April and May planning, but I think as we grow and change, as our businesses grow and change, it's so important to recalibrate and refresh, and this is always just a great chance to do it. I know this is different from my usual vlogs, but let me know if you want more of this. I think it's fun to just share a little bit more in depth of how I do things. So if you're on your own creative journey and if you have a creative business, I hope you are spending the time to check in with yourself and to recalibrate and enjoy this next season in business. As always, thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next video.